What's up everyone? Welcome back to another video. This is going to be the start of my devlog. I want to learn to build full stack web applications and I thought I would document this journey. So in my previous video, I talked about my recent idea, which is to create a writing platform where bloggers who uses static site generators can use ChatGPT to assist them to write articles and also push their content to their blog in one place. I built this initial app using Python Flask. In this app, you basically can interact with ChatGPT, and once you feel ready, then you can just click a button where it will commit the latest response from ChatGPT to GitLab, and that way GitLab would trigger Netlify to rebuild your static site blog again. So now I want to expand on this project. And to do that, I was thinking if I can break it down into a front end and back end and use this project to learn some basic full stack development. So here is the architecture for my current idea. The front end is going to be Vue.js. The back end is going to be Flask. And again, Flask is going to be the one that's talking to GitLab and ChatGPT. So a little background about myself. I've never done Vue.js before, but I've worked with Flask for a few years. So definitely the front end is going to have more things for me to learn. So what have I built so far? For the front end, I've built 3 components. The home view component, which is the parent, and then 2 child components, API section and chat window. I'm going to switch over to the UI. As you can see, I have a menu bar, 3 sections. The first section here, I haven't done anything to it, but the idea is going to be a section that you can add more chats, just like the ChatGPT website. And then the center section is going to be how you would chat with ChatGPT. And then the third section is going to be collecting user data, like the API keys, the project namespace on GitLab, and then the file name that you want to commit to GitLab. So far, if I type in something, this is gonna reply back very good. And the reason for that is currently the backend is not connected to anything. It's just replying back a dummy data. But ultimately, the goal is that this will respond back with the ChatGPT response. So some of the challenges that I bumped into is that I need a way to manipulate the DOM. And also I want to be able to keep the chat at the very bottom. So what I mean by that is if this overflows, then as you can see, the latest chat is at the very bottom with its response, right? So to do that, I use the Flexbox, and I can show you guys what I mean by that. So in my chat window component, in the template section, you can see that in this div here, which is the section where you display the chat messages, I used a Flexbox and made sure that the Flexbox has a column reverse class. And by the way, this is all using Bootstrap 5. And this way, this will basically print my message out in reverse. And also I wrapped the message responses in a div box, because if I don't wrap it in a div, then that means the ChatGPT response and my questions will come in the reversed order as well. And I don't want that. Another challenge is I need a way to grab the input values in the child component. And what I mean by that is, as I mentioned earlier, the center section is a child component, and then the right section here is another child component. So I need to pass the data from the child component to the parent component first, and then the parent component to another child component. And to do that, start out at API sections.view. This is where the input boxes is. So basically we would emit. So I have 4 emit events that basically passes the data to the parent. And then in the parent component, I will set those 4 variables as its data, right? And then once those event happens and it's setting those data, then again, it will get passed into the chat window, which is where my send button is, and that's how I would pass this information to the backend. Now let's talk about the backend. So currently the backend is pretty simple. It's just a single backend API that returns dummy data. As you can see, it returns very good. And in order to do that, I had to enable the chorus for cross-origin requests in the backend. And I did that using the Flask chorus library. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That's what I've done so far. So my plan to do next is interact with the ChatGPT on the backend. And as for the front end, I think I'm going to just leave it as it is for now. And hopefully I can clean it up in the future. Thanks for watching. And let me know if you guys have any suggestions on what I can improve on.